What if I told you that the Singapore Grand Prix is going to be an unpredictable race? You might think that Max Verstappen is a clear favourite, but there's a dark horse in the race. His teammate, Sergio Perez, the street track specialist, is proven that by winning all his Red Bull races on them. But can he beat Verstappen in Singapore? Or will Red Bull stop him from doing so? Find out in this video. So it's the Singapore Grand Prix, one of my favourite tracks on the season. I've always enjoyed this race. This race came along in 2008. It was the first ever night race, and that race was won by my favourite driver, Fernando Alonso. But no, it's an interesting race. It's always hot, humid. It usually lasts about 2 hours, but this year it's not going to be 2 hours. I'll go into that a little bit later. The race usually has a safety car. There's been a safety car intervention in every race from the beginning. So it looks like there's going to be a safety car this weekend as well. Like I mentioned, it's usually a 2-hour race, but this year is going to be different. This year is going to be quicker, a way quicker race, way quicker lap time. Corners 16 to 19 has been removed. It's going to be a fast ending to the track, which overall during the race is going to be like a 20-30 minute quicker race. It'll be a lot quicker than usual. But it's been quite interesting in the Formula 1 world, especially the Red Bull world. Helmut Marko came out with some comments about Perez, and he had to come out with an apology, and we haven't heard from Perez yet. At the time of recording this, I haven't heard from Perez and what his thoughts were on that, but it'd be interesting to see what he says and how he feels, because it can't be nice for a driver within a team to see one of the top brasses in the team, even if he is just an advisor and is signed separately from Red Bull, but he is within the team, close within the team, coming out with negative comments about you. It'll be interesting to see how he feels about that. Hopefully he'll be fired up and he'll be wanting to win this race, wanting to do everything he can to win this race. And he does have a history of being a street track king. He's won 6 races in his career. 5 of those races are with Red Bull, and all 5 of those races have been on street tracks. So this is perfect for him, perfect time for him to prove that he is still, fast. He's still one of the fastest guys to come out of Mexico, a proud Mexican, and yeah, just to stick it into Helmut Marko and whoever else is doubting him at the moment. Now's the time to prove it with a quality Singapore Grand Prix race win. But obviously he's got to beat Max Verstappen, who's won 10 races in a row, who's currently the fastest guy on the grid. It's not going to be easy at all, but don't forget that Perez won last year in Singapore Grand Prix. Oh, and by the way, I'm in the middle of making a documentary as well as writing video ideas about infamous incidents in the past. If that's something that interests you, feel free to subscribe so that you don't miss them. Thank you. Yeah, but I think what we learned from those comments were, and it's just a confirmation that the team do prefer Max Verstappen. Not as in like prefer, as in like they're sabotaging anything like that. They're just, they just prefer Max Verstappen. They just like it when Max wins. It must affect Perez some way. You've got your employer. You want your employer to respect you and build you up in the press. And it's not the first time they said negative things about Perez. To be saying negative things about Perez is just like, in the press, it's just such a bad thing to do, and it's not like a respectful thing to do. If you're gonna say something, you keep it behind closed doors. It started talking about leaving the team. There's a few comments that came out after the Italian race about him looking at other teams, looking at his future after next year. So he's already got one eye about leaving the team. And if he does decide that he is leaving the team, it means that he can do whatever he wants. He can go for it, push the boundaries with him and Max, push the boundaries with him and the team, and basically try and stick it to them before he leaves the team. So that's something that he could potentially do. So when I say will Red Bull let him win, I mainly mean will Max let him win, because Max is on the ball at the moment. After the Baku race this year, he mentioned he did a tweak with the car, with the setup or something, he changed something, and he's just been on a streak ever since then. And even though Sergio Perez is a street track king, we have to remember that Max Verstappen had issues in every single one of these 5 race victories that Perez has had. His first one was in 2021 in Azerbaijan, in Baku. Obviously Verstappen had that tyre blowout, that famous tyre blowout, and then Hamilton famously went off at the restart of the first corner. Perez came along, he won the race. His next win was last year in Monaco. We all know that spin in qualifying that stopped Verstappen getting his qualifying lap done, and he would have most probably got pole position. And then in Singapore last year, Max was in contention for pole position, but he had to abandon his final lap after running short of fuel. So he only started in 8th position. Then moving to this year, Saudi, Max had a failure in qualifying, so he started 15th. So again, it wasn't a clean weekend for Max, but Perez won the race. He's doing what he needs to do in winning these races. And then again this year in Baku, Perez benefited from a safety car that benefited him and hindered Verstappen. So again, it wasn't a clean weekend for Verstappen. But you know, we shall see. I'm not saying that Perez isn't going to win, like if they go head to head. I'm just saying it's going to be tough, and it's down to Max. See if Max has a clean weekend and see what type of Perez turns up, if he's motivated and is confident and up for it, then we shall see. But yeah, it's one of my favorite races. I've been to Singapore myself, so yeah, we shall see what happens. If you found this video interesting, please do subscribe. Thank you for watching and enjoy the next race.